ancient monk high in the Tibetan mountains that has reached an altered state near nirvana, kind of a blobvana, if you will. And there are rumors that he has attained a state of 0 calorie burn.
Couch Body.
I'm gonna get myself a modem. I'm gonna get myself a modem. Hey guys, I'm gonna get myself a modem. I'm gonna get myself a modem. Hey guys, I'm gonna get myself a modem. I'm gonna get myself a modem. Hey guys,
All right, welcome to Lunch Therapy. I'm your host, Joel Marshall. So great to be here. I've got an incredible guest today. TJ Storm is going to be on the show today. That was just an ad for Laugh Therapy that is happening a week from Saturday in South Pasadena at the Visionarium, which is a great Italian restaurant. We got a really great lineup. So I hope you'll join us. There's a link in the show notes for tickets. Blobvana is a myth. 0 calorie burn. I don't know if you can achieve that. That's our sponsor, Slob 90X. So before we get into the show, we do this every show. We're going to breathe. We're going to take 3 deep breaths. This is Healing Vibrations. They are out of Seattle, and they're going to calm us down, or calm me down a little bit. I'm jacked up. I am psyched. I am excited for the show today because TJ Storm is a martial artist and a performance capture and a motion capture artist and an actor, and we're going to hear all about his experiences. Hoy, want to say hoy to the chat room. Hoy, Claster fan. Holy Howie, I hope you can come to Pasadena for the show. Yeah, that's going to be epic. Rob, you should fly out from Florida. Holy. Yeah, so we've got TJ Storm today, and we're going to breathe in through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. Out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. In through the nose, out through the toes. Little Tibetan vibrations, rainforest there for us to relax into the show. This show we do every Friday, and we interview someone that we find fascinating. Today is no exception, of course. TJ is a force to be reckoned with. There's a storm a-coming. Let me tell you a little bit about him before we get him on here, if you don't know already. My guest today was born in Indiana. He was adopted and raised in Honolulu. Lucky him. Hawaii. As a kid, he fell in love with martial arts and breakdancing and went on to win over 200 dance competitions. He came to Los Angeles on a dance scholarship and was surviving on ramen and Pop Tarts, and somehow wound up playing Godzilla. This is an amazing story. one of the most unique careers in Hollywood history. He's an actor, a martial artist, a motion capture and performance capture artist. We'll have to talk to him about the difference between those two things. He's the founder of the Mind's Eye Tribe Action Actors Academy right here in Los Angeles. That's how I found out about him. My wife, Kamala Lopez, took a class in how to be a villain, which was really cool from him. She was just like, this guy is amazing. When he's not training the next generation of performers, he is performing in such franchises as the Marvel Universe, Star Wars, Godzilla, God of War, many, many video games. And he's also a dungeon master, so that's kind of cool. That's definitely cool on this show. Mind's Eye Tribe, yeah, check it out. Mind's Eye Tribe is so cool. I highly recommend taking a class with him. Kamala took the class called Villains, learning how to develop your own unique villain character. Yeah, so TJ has studied all the great villains of moviedom and has a method to train actors, so that's cool. So let's get into this thing. It's Interview Friday, Lunch Therapy.
Wait! 4 or 5 moments.
I'm sorry?
4 or 5 moments, that's all it takes.
To...
Be a hero. Now that right there, that is the shit.
Holy crap, that was so cool. God, it's great to have you on the show, TJ Storm. Welcome to Lunch Therapy.
Thank you for having me, and I want to say hello to Kamala. Hello, it's great to see you out there in the universe again. Your wife is an amazing actor, and I remember her in class. She's a brilliant person. She had great questions, very intelligent, very well thought out, and it made everyone think, and I love it. So it was wonderful to work with her.
That's
And
great.
you guys have a really cool group. Is it the Cult of the Hummingbird? Am I saying it?
Cult of the Hummingbird, that's right. We're the hummingbirds
It's
here.
so cool. I think what you're doing is absolutely wonderful, and I'm so glad that you're in the world, making it a better place and taking a moment to breathe. I think that is absolutely wonderful. Thank
That
you.
is so kind of you to say. Do you, at the top of the show here, we're just going to talk a little bit about therapy, because as performers, a lot of times we get nervous or we get anxiety or we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Things are very uncertain. How do you steady yourself? How do you keep strong in your core being?
I grew up in the martial arts. My mom put me into karate when I was a young kid, and it was mainly because I was a spaz. They didn't have ADHD when I was a kid, but I'm sure I may have had that, or too much sugar, one or the other. I'm not sure what it was, but I couldn't sit still. And my mom was like, you need discipline, you need something. So she put me into karate to help me learn discipline. And that karate class, which was traditional karate taught by traditional Japanese senseis, was really, really hardcore. It was in Hawaii, so it wasn't that far removed from its original source. And as a result, we started class and ended class in meditation. We breathed. And that starting and ending with meditation, and then immediately going into or coming out of stressful situations, which combat is, or simulated combat of karate was, it got me very used to, okay, I know something bad is about to happen, something intense is about to happen. And that was a pattern. After you do that for decades, you breathe when you know the thing is coming. You breathe after the thing has happened. It becomes part of the system. And I know that the camera's about to roll. You can feel that tension start to rise up, which almost every performer feels. And as you feel it, for me, it was part of my system to, it is time. And my body would go into that meditative place. It wasn't something I had to think about doing or I had to step away. It is part of my operating system, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, do you do stand-up comedy?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
terrifies me. I can't imagine. There is in no world where I would get in front of a microphone. I will
come on.
fight 8 people and I will be happy doing it. But getting in front of a microphone with a bunch of people like make me laugh. Do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's a
I'm
challenge.
like, hell no. No, thank you. No.
We'll see
There's
about
no-
that, TJ Storm. We'll see about that.
That is terrifying, man. Respect. Much respect.
Thank you. So you had a kind of built-in discipline that you had cultivated from the beginning. Was there a reason that you needed? You said that you were like maybe ADHD or something. Was it difficult for you to move from Indiana to a new family, and in an environment like Hawaii where maybe everybody wasn't so welcoming to you?
Oddly, it was Indiana that had more barriers. Now, my parents shielded me from most of that. I always wondered why they were so tense and so tired all the time, aside from being an adult and working full-time jobs or multiple full-time jobs, because my parents worked their butts off. And I was a latchkey kid. I would come home and let myself in and do all the things. But what I didn't know was that my father, whose first language was Spanish, he never taught me Spanish because it was not cool. It was not cool to be brown. It was not cool to be black, especially in the Midwest, especially in Fort Wayne, Indiana at the time. And I didn't know that. I didn't even know that I was different from all the other kids until some kid pointed it out to me during class. And then I was like, oh. And then I started, instead of just being a kid, I had to start to see the differences between, how am I different? Am I that different?
Isn't that the worst when somebody like points out something like makes you an other?
Yeah,
and then
I
all of a
didn't
sudden
know.
you're like, I didn't even know that. Yeah.
I remember thinking, I'm not different. And he goes, look at her skin. Look. And he put his arm next to me and I'm like, oh,
So
that's interesting. Yeah, not a clue. But
that wild?
that made me also start to think, wonder who else is different. And if you're different, are you automatically like me? That's kind of how I discovered Bruce Lee. It was after that I recognized, oh, he looks different than the other people on my television. That's kind of cool. I like that guy. But when I went to Hawaii, there was a lot more people that looked like me than the other group. And they were like, what's up? And I'm like, hey. And it was a bit of culture shock because it's a different vibe there, but it was wonderful. Growing up in a place where you can run around barefoot, climb trees, and pull down coconuts, and just run and be wild is absolutely wonderful. Just be in the beach, be in the water, be with nature. It was amazing.
Is that when you got into dancing as well?
Yeah, that was more of a result of I was in school and I was tall and skinny and I was a super nerd. And being that tall, that fast leaves you kind of like with puppy feet. I was very clumsy and and I was bouncing around, and I'd be playing D&D with my friends, and then I discovered girls, and I was like, well, that's cool. Would you? And I wanted to ask one to the dance, and I was so nervous because I didn't have the tools for that. I wasn't cool like she was. She was a cheerleader, and I was like, and I would stutter horribly because my nerves locked everything up and fail. Long story short, she did not come with me to the dance, and I'm like, well, I need to be cooler. So shout out to D&D.
D&D.
But there was a chance for me to learn to be cooler. So I asked myself, how can I be cooler? And I looked around to see what or who was cool. And there was the athletes, and then there was the dancers. There were break dancers at the time. This was the beginning of break dancers.
Yeah.
And as a result, I learned both. I joined the basketball team. I was not good at first. And I learned my move. I will show you my move right now. It's my dance move.
Yeah.
My very first dance move. Wait a minute. Okay, ready?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the one. That's the
I'm
one.
still working on it myself. I can't quite do it.
I practiced that for hours every day in front of there was a chapel, and they were reflective glass.
Yeah.
And so I'd be in front of that for hours every day, practicing my one move to try to get it, because I was a little clumsy.
That's
and
hilarious.
I finally got it, and I went to that school dance where she wouldn't go to the dance with me. So I went by myself, and I saw my friends there. And everybody was jamming, and there was this one kid in the middle, and people were starting to kind of look at him, and he was dancing. He was doing all the cool stuff. And I'm like, this guy's good. And while I was watching him, I did this. And they tell you when you go, for instance, when you go to a zoo and you're with the apes, don't look them in the eye. I looked this guy in the eye when I did my one single move.
Challenge.
He was, oh yeah? You want something? I'm like, wait, what's happening? And then everybody backed away, and they're like, woo! And I'm like, what is going on? They're like, you challenged him. I'm like, I did not challenge him. But he spent the next 5 minutes doing super cool moves, and I went, that's all I had.
You had the move. That was it. At least you had that.
I learned a good lesson that day. So after that, I was like, oh my God, I was so embarrassed. So I went on to learn more dance moves, and then I got to be a good dancer. Then I got a little group. Then we started winning contests, and then long story short, I got a scholarship to dance school because I practiced so hard, and I won so many dance contests that somebody finally saw me out there, and they're like, look, we're going to give you a chance. So I went to a great dance school, ballet, jazz, modern. I did all of the things. I was not good at them either when I first started, but I did. And that's when I left Hawaii, I was a professional dancer.
Wow. Isn't that something? Like, some people try things and they're like, I'm not good at that. And then they don't do it. And then other people try things, they go, I'm not good at that. And then they just keep going. That's a beautiful thing.
Well, that's the beauty for me of having learned at least Japanese karate. They pound into your mind that the master has failed more than most people have even tried. And I'm like, failure. I understand. And for me, failure is a lesson. That is all that it is. I learn from it, and then I try to adapt and evolve and become better. And I think we all do. But I just put mine into those particular skills. Mind you, I can't cook. So there's that. I can't do any of that. But I can do this much better.
Yes.
So,
so you came out to LA because of this? Is that where you went to school, to dance school?
Yeah. I came to LA as a dancer. I did a bunch of music videos, and I started going to all the dance school, the dance schools out here. At the time, it was called Dupree, and there were some others. And dancers, they don't get any respect. If you don't know that world, you're watching dancers go to classes that they can barely afford. They are trying to shine. They're busting their butts, and they're breaking down their bodies in a lot of cases. They're hitting the ground. They're getting back up. They're learning all these dance steps and doing all of these things. And then you fight for a spot on a video or on a show as a backup dancer, and then you perform, and for me, I was like, the second I leave stage, all of that lifetime of skill was forgotten the moment I stepped off stage. As much as I loved it, and I would see some of my videos on MTV at the time, and I would see it, but then those videos would go out of rotation and disappear. And I'm like, what am I doing this for? This is because I loved it. You love dance. When you do it, you need to express it and you need to do it. And then I was like, is anybody gonna remember that I ever did this? I can name 3 famous dancers off the top of my head. Yeah. And I know some dance. Mm-hmm. Most people can maybe name one, maybe Baryshnikov, maybe Gregory Hines, maybe. But most people can't, unfortunately. They just are unaware. So I was like, I've done this, but maybe I'll try something else. I got a chance to do a recording contract. I got a recording contract, and we went on tour, and we got on Billboard. We did music. Then I realized the producer ran away with the contract money, and we were still on tour. And I'm like, wait, what happened? Poof, it was gone. And I'm like, no. We didn't own the tapes. We didn't own the music. We only got what little bit we got from the concerts, and poof. So that was over. And then I'm like, well, I'll try acting. How hard could that be? So that's how when I transitioned into film. Luckily, I was tall enough, big enough that I had a look. And oddly, they're like, you can't fight, can you? I'm like, why? They're like, well, to do like martial arts in the scene. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that.
As a matter of fact.
And with low budget movies, oftentimes they didn't have stunt coordinators. So they're like, you're not able to choreograph, are you? I'm like, choreograph? Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's like you were like ideal. You had developed the tools that you needed already.
Yeah. But now I didn't know about camera. I mean, I've done like 20 or 30 kickboxing movies, and that was my film school. But the first 10 of those are horrific. And they're in a 99-cent bin somewhere deep in Slovakia. But that was my film school. I learned a lot, and then I continued to use those skills as I do today.
Can we show a few clips of you doing martial arts here? I've got a nice...
Oh, God.
The TJ Storm tribute. I put new music on this as well. Yeah. I put different music just so we don't get banned or whatever. But it's really cool.
I don't know what this is.
You don't know what it is? All right, let's see it. We'll watch together here. Watch party. This is the King of Kung Fu 2002. You know this thing? Are these some of the films you're speaking of?
Yeah.
So cool. We're going to get to the fighting here soon. There we go.
Oh, Black Cobra. Yeah.
Black Cobra.
Oh, bud. Black Cobra. All right. Oh, this is
this is cool. What was that one?
Kickboxer. That was Kickboxer.
Oh, wow. Look at that. That was crazy. I mean, you're like a gymnast out there. Look at this.
Oh, this is fun. That's Kick of Death. Oh, John, great wrestler. Harley Wallen, great. Black Cobra.
Wow. What's that one?
I could not tell you. It's one of the early ones.
Cool.
This is a Kickboxer.
I like that.
Black Cobra. That's me with my shirt off.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Fighting on the beach.
This is the Philippines.
Wow.
What?
There's that one you don't know, but it's really cool.
I don't know. I do remember somebody lost his tooth on that. I remember somebody, it wasn't for me, but...
Oh!
Oh, yeah. Oh, Don the Dragon Wilson. Yay.
Cool. Whoa! lot of great stuff.
Oh, that was martial law.
There you are, working it out.
That's cool.
Wow.
That's fun.
Matt's asking if you've worked in Hong Kong.
Oh no, I've never been to Hong Kong. I would love to. I would absolutely love to, but I've never been there. Philippines, yes. Eastern Europe, Romania, Slovakia, Bucharest.
Wow. That's pretty amazing stuff.
Yay!
Okay, so now I want to get on to the next transition of this career, this incredible career. Oh,
That's fun.
the only place that's safe, lunch therapy.
The only place that's safe.
The only place that's safe. All right, so when did this happen that you got into motion capture? Can you tell us a little bit about how that transferred from this martial arts career to acting career to this?
I was, after doing a lot of the martial art movies, I was starting to see, after 20 or 30 films, and I was that's when I started to go to acting school. I'd done 30
tell us
films
about that.
before I went to acting school.
Yeah, tell us about that. What that experience
It was
like.
great. It was. I went to a Meisner school called Joanne Barron. Very intense school, and a lot of people were like, "They are so mean. They're so harsh." And I'm like, for me, it was just like it is like being in karate.
Yeah.
This is the way. So
Yeah.
it wasn't. It was wonderful. It was a wonderful environment for me. And I learned. I remember being in that class the very first night, and there's a whole bunch of actors just like me, except I knew I had done like 20, 30 kickboxing movies. I'd been in 30 movies. I looked around the room and I'm like,
Yeah.
I've been in more movies than everybody in this room.
Yeah.
I felt pretty
Combined.
damn good about myself.
Yeah.
Cut to 5 minutes later. They're doing work up in front of the class and I'm like, oh no. Oh, I do not know how to act. Oh my God.
wow.
I don't want to go up there. And I was in so far over my head. I didn't know what I didn't know. And I got in there and they were serious actors. And I was a guy who could kick in front of a camera. Now, I learned 3 years later, I was a better actor. I understood what acting was. I wasn't an actor before I went in. But I was after I left. And I continued to study that. And but I put all of that together and I continued to do films. I started to get bigger films as well.
Did you do voice work? Because you have a great voice and you're very well spoken.
Thank you. Yes. I got opportunities to do voice stuff as well. The first one was something called Columbia House, which I don't think exists anymore. Columbia House Records.
Yeah, I remember that.
For
99 cents.
You get 100.
You get all the records you want, and we keep sending them to you, and you have to pay for them unless you send them back.
Yes, exactly. and I'll never forget this. It was my first time on the microphone, and I was like, and choose from hundreds of titles. And the engineer was like, wait, cut. How many titles? I'm like, hundreds of titles. I'm like, hundreds? Where are you from? The Midwest? I'm like, oh, am I saying that? Like, you're saying that. It's hundreds. And I'm like,
okay.
How dare you? So hundreds. I didn't know what I didn't know, but it was a great learning process. But when I started doing even more kickboxing movies, I would start, now that I've been on so many movies, I've done literally 30 times more than often the directors have. So they worked a long time to get this one movie, but I've already been on 30, 40 sets. No, I'm talking about the 30 movies that I was a lead in, but I was in other movies as well.
Yeah.
As a minor character, but that's a lot of sets. That's a lot of learning.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to watch these directors and I'm like, I'd be like, what, don't you want to like undercrank the camera so we see this a little faster, and then you want a slow-mo moment? And they're like, no, just leave it normal because that's weird. What you're saying is weird. And I'm like, oh, okay. And now I have opinions about how it should be shot, where to put the camera. It's not my movie. I can't really do anything about it. But now I'm like, I want to tell the story because I think I have a version that I like better. And so I started to want to learn how to direct. I went to a directing class. I remember I was so excited. I sat in the front row because I wanted to learn as much as I could and not be distracted. And it was up on a stage, and then this guy was doing the class, and he was a very passionate speaker. And he was so passionate that he would spit when he spoke, and I'm in the front row and he's above me. So
Oh no.
I'm like, ugh.
Oh.
And he didn't know he was doing it, but he's like, all right, so the next shot, and it splash. And I'm like, oh, it's getting on my paper, and I'm like, oh, bro.
Oh, no.
So at lunch, I turned to the guy next to me. I'm like, I didn't know him. I was like, you want to go towel off? And he started laughing. And we went to lunch, and he was a cool dude. And he's like, hey, I got this system back in Orange County. It's called motion capture. Would you be interested in helping me work it out? And I'm like, it's not like a weird sex thing, is it? He's like, no. It's technology, and it's going to be the future. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I went and I helped him test it out. And he's like, just move around and do something cool. And I saw a broom in the corner, and I'm like, can I use that broom over there? It'll give you something neat. So I unscrewed the broom part from the handle, and I used the handle, and I started spinning it around, and I spun it around. And he goes, that's great, cut. And he used that for his company logo. I would spin it around, and out of the spinning stick, you would see the words magically appear as I moved.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And he used that for his logo for a long time, and those were the first video games. I worked with him on several video games, and then other people started using that technology, and then I went to those other companies, and I've done hundreds of video games.
This is like the very beginning of motion capture?
It is. This is the very beginning. It's in the 90s, early 90s.
I heard you saying, too, that you had to, like, wear your own pajamas or something there. Like they didn't have the motion capture suit yet?
Oh no, they weren't mine though. But they was like a scuba suit. It was like a
scuba suit
with these ping pong balls.
It had to
on
be
it.
tight.
Huge.
It had to be tight.
Yeah, you can't have the markers, the ball
they
things.
Can't
have the markers move around, so they have to be stuck to the thing. And so I put on this scuba suit, and it didn't breathe at the time. The first ones didn't breathe, so I was pouring sweat, but I didn't care. I was in my 20s, and I was like, wee! But yeah, it's fun.
Oh my God. So did you do multiple video games after that? Like you became...
Yeah, absolutely. I worked on the first one of the first versions of Quake that used motion capture, which is an old first-person shooter.
Oh yeah,
and
of course.
An old Star Trek game. And then we just started working. He literally handed me a stack of VHS tapes. He's like, "All right, your job is to take all of these. These are all the episodes of Star Trek, and watch all of them because you're going to play Captain Kirk." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you're going to be Captain Kirk." I'm like, "Okay." So I went home and I learned his physical tics, and I learned how he spoke.
And William Shatner doing the voiceover, or how did it?
Yeah, he already did the voiceover. So
you had to like mouth the words and everything.
I had to learn his lines and then give them life, and it was a blast. It was really awesome. And he goes, "Do you have some friends who would want to play Spock and the other?" And I'm like,
"What?
Well, yes, I do."
Really?
So I brought them in, and we all did it. Yeah, it was wonderful.
God, that is so cool. That is so cool. So when did the Godzilla occur?
Godzilla came later, much later. I'd already done probably at least 100 video games by that point, and I was working on some stuff, and I was starting to teach a little bit, and my friend Garrett contacted me, and he's like, "Hey, do you have some ideas about people who are good at creature stuff?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah." So I gave him some names because I was working on other projects, and I'm like, "Try these people." And he calls me back. He goes, "Come down and let's do some work on this creature stuff." And I'm like, "Cool." I honestly thought that he was going to have me come down and coach his creature performers. So I tossed on my sweats and I went down to wherever it was, and it was in the valley. And
when you say creature performers, is that people that have prosthetics on? And
no, it can be. It can absolutely be that. Like in It, you see the clown. That is technically creature performance because that guy is not human.
Yeah.
Or the thing from the Black Lagoon, for instance. But for this, I didn't know what the project was. I just know that he wanted a creature performance, probably for motion capture. And if people don't know what motion capture is, you enter a room that is surrounded by maybe 100 or 200 infrared cameras, and they are pushing out all this infrared light into the middle of the room, which creates a sea of infrared light. You can't see it, but it's there. And then you go into the middle of that room wearing a very tight suit with very, very reflective markers on it, and those markers are at almost every joint on your body. And those markers reflect back to the center of the camera that are spitting out the light. And that camera can't see, that's a perfect image. That camera cannot see me as a person. That camera can only see those points of light. So I look like a living constellation of a person. I just look like a bunch of light, a bunch of little dots of light. And the computer can take those dots of light and connect them to a animated character, whether it's Colossus, Godzilla, Groot,
Darth Vader.
It can be Darth Vader. Yeah, it can be literally anything. And now those dots of light will drive that model's motion. So if I raise my hand, you'll see Darth Vader raise his hand on the screen. And that's how it kind of works. That's motion capture. So I went standing in the middle of the stage, and he's like,
there's an example.
Oh, yeah.
Let me put us on the screen here. Yeah, so
yeah, I'm standing on the stage with two other guys, and he's like, all right, so let's do this. You're Muto number 1, you're Muto number 2, and you're Godzilla. And I'm like,
you're like, what?
And he's like, let's get through it. And I'm like, awesome. So that was really, really cool. And Garrett Warren, who is an action designer, now he's a director. He works directly under James Cameron. Also, Nito Larioza, he's a movement director and a stunt coordinator. These two brought me into that world for Godzilla, and they crafted those scenes and the action and the intensity of all of that in the first Godzilla movie. And I got to be there. And those are the two Mutos. Those are the other two stunt actors that I got to play with. And it was amazing. And they did incredible work. He was on those stilts, which are exhausting to be on. And the other gentleman, Hutch, he had those wings are hefty bags that we cut out of garbage.
Really,
bags.
you were just winging it with the and the tail.
Literally, and yeah.
How'd you do the tail?
We didn't know we needed that until somebody was like, "How do we knock the other guy back?" And I'm like, "What happens if I turn around and I slap him with my tail?" They're like, "Yes." So I was ready to do the scene. They're like, "All right, we need to build a tail." I'm like, "Don't we just?" We can just pretend it. And he's like, no, we want to see it because we want the animators to see it. I'm like, well, okay, sure. So he goes, we need a belt. So I ran out to my car because I have my black belt in the back of my trunk because I teach privates. At this time, I was still teaching private karate lessons. And I pull out my black belt. And in the meantime, they were cutting this long piece of foam that they had on the floor. And they put a little slot through the back of it. And that's literally my black belt pushed through the slot and around my waist holding on that tail.
That is so cool.
And it worked perfectly. It was
and
great.
at first you were like this. And they were like, no, he's got shoulders.
Yes.
So the arms are like more animated than, say, like Tyrannosaurus Rex.
We literally had no idea how the Godzilla model was. We didn't have a picture of Godzilla at the time. So I was like, do you want me to start like this? And then while we're doing this, there's a whole bunch of screens. The studio is watching off on the side. So there's all this conversation. And they're like, no, we want to have him have some shoulders. So I'm like, so like this? And they're like, yeah. And so you could see all these little thumb buttons go up and on the screen. It was very, very cool.
Wow.
Oh, and that's from the second movie, Godzilla King of the Monsters, directed by Michael Dougherty. They got from Fonco, there's a place called Fonco, they got a nicer tail made, literally with articulation, and it worked beautifully. It moved just like the tail is supposed to, and that is the motion capture suit that I'm wearing. It's very, very cool.
That is cool. I want to ask you about this video that we're watching here of the motion capture. Sometimes, so they've got that little inset picture of your face. Is the difference between performance capture and motion capture, is that the camera's on the face, or what's the difference? In
the industry, that is the jargon. Technically speaking, all motion capture performed by an actor is performance capture.
Okay.
That you're performing, therefore it's performance capture. but in the jargon that the text will use, that little face camera,
Yeah.
that is literally called the HMC, or the helmet mounted camera, or the head mounted camera. That's a little hard shell on my head, and then those mandibles support a couple of cameras that are in front of my face, and those cameras are watching everything that my face does. Sometimes there's dots on your face, sometimes it's just watching your face, sometimes they'll spray something on your face so it's shiny and it reflects back to the camera. But in all the cases, the camera wants to record all of those facial articulations that your face does naturally, so that it can be translated onto the digital character later.
That is wild. That is wild.
And so in that picture, they just took the face cam and they put it in the bottom corner so you could see both things happening at the same time.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay. So now tell us about Mind's Eye Tribe and what's going on
Mind's
there.
Eye Tribe.
Tell us
Mind's
about
Eye
that.
Tribe Action Actors Academy is a place that I originally started to teach people the art of performance capture performance, whether it's acting or creature performance, or for the stunt side, swords, tactical, all of that stuff. Because for video games, I'll give you a number just so you have it generally in your mind. I think it was in 2020, films and music combined made like $48 billion. In that same year, video games made $69.7 billion.
It's a much
That was
bigger industry.
back in 2020.
Isn't that something?
So while all of these actors were fighting for, I don't know, 10 roles in film that they could actually get a chance to get, there was tons of things going on in video games which required the same level of excellent acting or excellent stunts or excellent action. So people started to become aware of that, and they're like, wait, I can act in other places. So I wanted to teach those people, because I was working with a lot of wonderful actors, but they were not good at motion capture. They would come in and they wouldn't know the rules that would allow them to have a full and live performance on screen and in the volume, which is where we call the work we do in the motion capture. That's where we work in this particular room.
Yeah.
So I wanted to teach actors and stunt people and creature performers how to do these things. So I started a whole bunch of classes. The first one was Motion Capture Essentials, which teaches the basics of what you need to understand on your first day of performance capture, and how to best get those jobs, and how to best position yourself to get those jobs. And then as I continued to work in these worlds, I started to become aware that you need other skills, many other skills, including tactical. I would see people not know how to hold a gun, and they're supposed to be Navy SEALs. And I'm like, okay, we can help you with that. So we have people who are tactical specialists teach you how to do that. And swords. People were supposed to be Jedi, but they're holding it like a baseball bat, and it didn't look right. So we wanted to help people with that. And then we went on to performance classes. We have heroes and superheroes. We have
So cool.
villain, a study of power.
See, Kamala would come home and tell me all kinds of things about that class, and I was just like amazed at how you had broken down the villain, and how all actors, motion capture, performance capture, dramatic actors, anybody can use this, because you were studying all the great villains of the movies. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is to be a villain, or something that would help someone when they're access that?
Absolutely. For instance, if one person were, if an actor or stunt person were to, they're going to be a soldier. You could go on set right now and you could pretend to be a soldier, except all of the people who've gone through the military watching that film are going to be like, I don't think that person's ever been in the military.
Yeah.
Because they're just pretending.
Yeah.
You don't do soldier stuff. You don't know, maybe it's eating fast because you're on a schedule, or the way you hold your gun, or the way you put your gun down, or the way you check the mag. All of these things are things that soldiers do every day, and we as normal civilians never do. So you're not good at it the first time you go in.
Right.
So what would you do? You would go to a boot camp to at least get the basic idea of life as a soldier, if you want to be a better actor on a stage. Same thing for villains. Villains use power. Yes, you can take the actor point of view and say, I will just act my way and I'll just find the moments myself and it will be wonderful. That's fine, but if you're from the Midwest, you've never been the CEO of a company. So you're missing things. And if you want to understand what that level of power is, you're not qualified to do that well. You can pretend just like a soldier, but you're not qualified to do that well. So, or if you want to be like a super badass, like maybe like Mr. T was in Rocky, he's another kind of villain, not like the CEO, but he understands what it's like to survive on your own and claw your way to the top and still be pushed down and said you're not good enough. That's a different life. So I want to give people a chance to understand that kind of power. And that's what that class does. It's literally a study of power. We examine the 10 kinds of power, and we examine the 10 archetypical villain types, and we get into those things.
Can you give us just a taste of that? Like the archetypical villain types? Can you give us a few of those?
Sure.
Just a little taste.
One of the first ones that you meet is called the wolf in sheep's clothing. The wolf in sheep's clothing is, you've seen it. You saw it in Get Out. Get Out is full of wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
The protagonist, the hero, shows up and he's got this wonderful girlfriend and he meets the very cool family, a little odd, but very cool. And then you start to see the cracks in the mask. Those moments of, oh, I'm here for your best interest. Oh, I'm here to support you, until they're not, and they're out to get you. That is one.
That's
type.
one of the things that kind of transformed the way I watch these kind of movies. Is you said this thing about the mask slip. Kamala told me about that, and I was like, and now when we watch movies, we're like, oh, there's the mask slip.
Yay!
Can you tell us about that?
Of course. You have that person who is one of the best examples of it is wonderful to watch. I love watching it. It's a show called The Boys, which is on Amazon Prime, and there's a character on it named Homelander. He's basically Superman, and he shows up, and he is as super as Superman is. He's like, I'm here to help you. That's okay, citizen. And then he turns around, and somebody says something to him, and he's like, no problem. And he gets his little twitch. He's got these little and it's so beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
And he is so good at it. But everybody who plays the wolf in sheep's clothing, you see it in Star Wars. It's a little more hammy in Star Wars because that's a slightly less
style.
stakes world, different style. But you get to see Senator Palpatine. He is this very old, very kind senator who wants the best for all of his people until he doesn't. And you're like, now, if you don't know the story, you're like, what was that?
Yeah.
Does he have an ulterior motive? But that's all that you need. That little question in your mind is what the filmmaker intended, and it's wonderfully done. And that mask flip, that little show of the hero doesn't see, but the audience, the hero's over here, and then the guy goes, I'll make sure that you get the mail. It's on its way. And so you get that little tiny mask
some of the
flip.
best characters are like this.
Oh,
I don't know if you ever
so
saw
fun.
the series Dirty John, but there was a guy who like becomes the boyfriend of this woman, and then it turns out he's just like super evil, and he has a string of relationships where he takes all their money essentially. But the guy seems like the perfect guy, and then but there'll be a moment, and the other character doesn't see it. We as the audience see it, and all of a sudden we're in on it. We're like, oh shit, you got to get away from that guy, and you love that feeling that you get like when you see it, like, oh my God, now I know what's happening. It's great. It builds
wonderful.
so much tension and all that.
It's so fun to watch.
Yeah. What do you think about voice? Like I notice a lot of villains, they have a particular voice, and also some tough guys, they talk like this and things like that. Do you talk about that kind of stuff, modulating your voice?
Absolutely. There is an archetype that we have called demon. The demon is not normally a human character. It is often animated, like Sauron, for instance, is a demon, or Pennywise is a demon. It's not something you normally can stop with a restraining order, or you can't punch them in the jaw. They're well past what a human's meant to deal with. So when we're dealing with these kind of characters, especially on the animated side, we have a couple of archetypal voices that we use to get actors comfortable with the opportunity that might come up that you get to play one of these kinds of characters. And there's the Dark Champion, which you recognize as Darth Vader's voice. That is a very particular, a very powerful. You will die. You will have this very strong presence, and you can modulate it up or down. And there's a woman version of it as well, Hela in Thor Ragnarok, which is Kate Blanchett.
Yeah.
She is masterful at having this power that is just there, and it's wonderful. And then there's a couple of other archetypes, but we examine these closely, and we give the performers a chance to play with them a little bit and get used to the idea that you're going to have these ready, especially if you intend to work on voice stuff. These are absolute mainstays of most people who want to do a cadre of villainous type voices.
That's so interesting. So interesting. Because we as actors, especially if you're like really into, I don't want to call it method acting, but the traditional acting method, a lot of times that basically is previous circumstances, like what makes you talk like that, what makes you be like that. But sometimes you feel kind of fake putting it on, but you have to. So connecting your your traditional acting technique with a caricature like that and grounding it so it doesn't sound fake is really important.
Absolutely.
And then also guys like you and I are very nice guys, and we have to like play villains sometimes, which I don't know about you, but I love doing it.
You get to examine stuff that you would never ever do, but that's why people aren't necessarily good at it.
Yeah. Exactly.
The only opportunity they get to do it is the audition.
Yeah.
But some people live as villains, so they get to be this almost cartoonish level of, oh, I'm going to do this today and kill that cat, and you're like, what is happening? So they're good at it because that is their life. But
like
we want to give people an opportunity to try it.
Yeah, I have a scene that I'm working on right now for a film that's like that, where I have to be a villain, like a traditional kind of villain, but also connected. So super interesting stuff.
It's one of the bigger things.
So tell me about the physicality of, I'm very interested in the Star Wars lightsaber training that you do. Is that traditional sword fighting, like stage combat, or is it a little different with the lightsabers?
Stage combat, when you say stage combat, technically that is a fighting style built for the stage, the theater. We usually attempt to try to focus on theatrical, filmic, cinematic stunt fighting. That said, that's what Star Wars is kind of built out of, but it came out of theatrical combat, like you say, because the first guys who did it, they were masters of sword work. But it has evolved quite a bit, like everything else does, including the technology. So we call it Jedi 7, the 7 combat forms of the Jedi. We only do it once a year, which is the closest weekend to May the 4th and May the 5th. So May the 4th be with you. Yeah. But it is a wonderfully fun class where we examine the 7 combat forms of the Jedi, which is, you start with Shicho, Makashi, Sorisu, Ataru. Those are the names of the fighting styles, and they're all very, very different. They are all pretend, so we have to base them in real world sword technique. So we do that.
There are actual Star Wars styles of fighting. How did you find out about this? It's just from observing the movies, or is there some kind of book, or what?
There is a wonderful swordsman named Terrence Rotolo, and he and I sat down and were like, all right, let's do this. You tell me how this works, because he's a sword historian and he's a sword master. I'm good at the performance side, but he is a master of swords. But I sat down and did the research. I pulled out all the information I could from all of the sources that I could find, and then I coalesced them into one place. And then I'm like, all right, this one is Sorisu, and it says it's made for battlefields. What does that mean? he's like, oh God, okay, first off, that's not a thing. Second, and then he would start to break it down. Now, if you were to use this on the battlefield, you need to do it like this, but you couldn't do this, but you have to use this kind of a blade, but it's a lightsaber. He goes, oh yeah, okay, forget why I said that. Now we're gonna do it like this. And then together we cobbled these ideas together that make it a very realistic understanding of the canon lightsaber forms.
That's incredible. Do you think
It's really fun.
And do you think that people are more likely to get hired by someone who's doing Star Wars material from taking your class?
This is what I've noticed, and I absolutely try to impart this to the performers that we train with, is that when you're, let's say you own the rights to make the movie called Super Cat, and
oh, I wish I had the rights to that. Sounds good.
And actor A comes in, and they're a wonderful actor. They don't know anything about the franchise. They don't know anything else. Solid actor, very good actor. Number 2 comes in. They're an okay actor, but they connect with you. They're like, look, I'm going to tell you, I grew up on Super Cat, and I know the Super Cat dance, and I can do the Super Cat moves, and I've trained for Super Cat. And as a result, you make that human connection, because in the end, it's a human connection. When you're sitting there with the casting director, when you're sitting there with the director, and you're talking to them, the one guy comes in, he's like, yes, Royal Shakespeare Academy, let's do the scene. Hello, I'm Super Cat. There, welcome. And the second person is like, okay, let me get this for you. Now, do you want this pre-litter box or post-litter box? Okay, I got it. So now you're talking their language, and they're like, you did the homework. I appreciate that you love the world, and that means something. So I see this all the time. People will come in, and the people that love, they have a passion for it, they have this much more going for them. It's only a little bit, but that's how much you win races by. Just this much. You talk about people like Tom Holland. He is a good actor, absolutely, but he also loves Spider-Man, and I think Spider-Man might have inspired him to learn how to flip around and do stuff, which he brought to the
production
audition.
Oh,
so
the audition.
He came to the audition. He did some extra stuff, and they're like, you got to see this kid. Yeah, I think he did. I think it's in some of the videos. Yeah, he did great acting. He had all the solid stuff, but he brought an extra couple of tools, and that passion really means something. And I love seeing that. I try to do that because I love this business. I love what I do, and I love nerdy stuff. Yeah. And I get to work on this stuff.
Well, you must have an incredible imagination as well, from and maybe playing Dungeons and Dragons for so many years also builds that imagination, because you're just sitting around a table. And you're having all these incredible adventures, especially being like a dungeon master like that.
Absolutely.
So I think that also building your imagination, actors really need to build their imagination. Would you have any ideas of how actors can build their imagination? You've provided a great place for them to train.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that helps, that being at Mind's Eye Tribe helps open those doors. But that's one of the things that I see, and it's interesting. I will ask people, it seems redundant or silly, but it actually isn't. I'll be like, all right, so before I start talking about this, how many of you have seen Star Wars? 99% of the people will obviously raise their hand. And then there's that one person in the front row who's like, and I'll be like, you are the problem. And they're like, what? I'm like, you gotta watch them. Just watch it. That's the beginning to... And I realized there was all kinds of different humans. That was one of my problems growing up, is I thought everybody thought like me. That's a thing you do when you're young, but it's obviously not true. We vote for different people. We like different flavors. All of those things are true at the same time. So this person, what I realized is some people have this very literal mind, and worlds like Star Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, that doesn't appeal to them, because those worlds cannot exist. So, but these things over here, they can exist. And I can't see those things. My mind is different, but I have to force myself to be. My friends will be like, "You have to watch Citizen Kane and Remains of the Day," and I'm like, "Oh, come on!
What you got to do?
Is there one sword fight in Remains of the Day at least? There's English people, right? Do they fight with swords? No. No, there's feelings and there's love, and I'm like,
Okay. But you do.
But-
you have to.
I watch them,
Yeah.
and I want to learn what that's about because that's the other side of acting that I wasn't aware of, but I'm more aware of it now, and I want that same thing for the people who do not love this side. If they want to work in it, if they don't have to deal with it. But if they want a better chance of understanding these worlds, it helps to like it a little bit.
Definitely. Passion is important. Very
There's
important.
a
And
Jon
interest.
Favreau is one of my favorite actors,
Yeah.
and I think he was for me, Iron Man is one of the best movies because you can see his passion in that. There's other directors, and they're good directors, but they don't love the thing. That one, you can see that he loves the thing, and that kind of thing is just magic.
I love to see artists who are just so enthralled with something, and actually every little nuance of it. I was thinking of Better Call Saul not Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, because Bob Odenkirk was talking about how he was on the set, and Bryan Cranston, they did a scene, and Bryan Cranston was like, "You don't watch the show, do you?" And he was like, "What?" He's like, "Because you don't know the relationship of the person that you're talking about to me, like that." And Bob Odenkirk was like, "Oh yeah, you're right, I don't." So he went back and watched every episode. But his excuse was, Saul doesn't see everything that's going on, so why should I? But then he was like, you know what? He was right. You gotta.
And that's what I
show.
try to get people to see is that is the truth of it. If you know more, you can make those informed choices a little bit better.
And you listen to Vince Gilligan, who created the show, talk about it on a podcast. He's so into it. Every little detail in every scene, and it's just like so amazing. I just love. I think interest is probably a superpower. If you have interest in something,
100%.
you're so much farther along.
That's one of the things that I learned in acting school that I thought was so interesting. My teacher, her name is Annie Drayman. She's an amazing acting instructor. The first thing out of her mouth is like, "All right, you're gonna start by listening," and I'm like, "What? What are you
It's the
talking
most
about?"
important thing. It is like the most important thing in acting.
It's just all of these words on the I just got to say words. Like, no. You just have to listen. That's it. I'm like, what? It took me years to understand what she meant, but it's at 100%. If you can put your attention on the other person, that is beautiful.
Well, you also see great acting a lot of times is in response. It's reacting and so you see like first time actors or people that haven't acted for a long time. You don't see any inner monologue. You just see them waiting for their lines. And that's bad acting, essentially.
Oh, I know.
Matt says, is it sometimes helpful when people come in fresh and don't know anything? I don't know.
Okay. Let's put it in a different situation. Let's take it out of acting and put it in combat. You're going to the UFC, and there's a monster inside the octagon. And they open the cage and they shove you in. You're fresh. You don't know anything. Does that answer your question? That is very similar. That is very similar. Could you survive? It is statistically possible that you survive, but it's unlikely. And that's kind of similar. When you walk on a set, there are so many things that you don't even know that you don't know. Yeah. You may not even know how to get to set. You have a dressing room over there. You got people that are going to be poking and prodding at you. They're going to shove lines in your hand. If you're not used to memorizing, your brain doesn't work in that way. It's not the same for everybody. Everybody has different memorization mechanisms.
So true.
Then we teach this one thing in our class. I'll talk about it here. I'm going to oversimplify it. We have about 7 active slots in our brain. Those active slots, they're open slots. They're kind of like RAM. And each slot can hold a piece of information. That's why you can remember a phone number, kind of, if you really concentrate. So one or two of those slots is filled with the dialogue. The other slots are going to be filled with hitting your marks, finding the light, turning towards the camera, waiting. You have to listen. So that's another two. Now you're out of slots. As soon as you're out of slots, you're going to start making mistakes because you're going to start dropping pieces of information that you should have been holding on to. And we try to teach people how to coalesce those slots so that you can know what's important and not worry about the other things. But if you're fresh, you don't even know what's important. Yeah. So you don't know where to put those resources.
Also, some of those slots might be filled with, "You're terrible. You're
self-talk.
Self-talk, you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
What's wrong with you? You don't belong here."
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is terrifying.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have that running in their head. Yeah. And that's when they say you get in your own head, it starts filling up all those slots and you're like, oh.
And then all of a sudden you can't function.
You're done. Yeah. I've seen it. It is not pretty.
I've seen it too. That's why you have to practice being able to be.
It helps immensely.
Yeah, it helps immensely. You know what? We're run out of time. But this is so cool having you on the show. Thanks so much for being here, TJ.
Thank you for having me. This is really, really fun. And thank you, Cult of the Hummingbird, for hanging out. This is really cool to see you guys.
And people can go to mindseyetribe.com, I believe. Where did that name come from, Mind's Eye Tribe?
Just trying to think of what it is that we do. The mind's eye, it's assumed that that's where your imagination is. And I wanted to create a community where we brought people together. And so a community of people who understand that making pretend and making make-believe is what is necessary to help tell wonderful stories. That's what we do. So it's the tribe of the mind's eye. The mind's eye tribe.
That's so cool. All right, everybody, thanks for being here. Kamala says, what a great show. Great advice. That's cool. Kamala said, I loved all of it. So Matt had asked, what's Kamala's favorite villain type? And she said she liked all of them. It's fascinating. I'm such a naive person. I didn't really recognize all the kinds of bad people out there. The class really clued me in on it. That's hilarious. All right, time for a dance break. And then we'll see you all next week for more lunch therapy. All right. Little Santana cover song here. I gotta work on
Listen to my rhythm. I gotta go with my baby. Listen to my rhythm. I gotta go with my baby. Oye, ¿cómo va?
Yeah.
Bueno pa' gozar. Mulata. Oye, ¿cómo va? Mi ritmo bueno pa' gozar. Mulata. Si tú no sabes bailar,
Oh, yeah.
si estás peleado con el son, sígueme marcando el paso, que te aseguro que te lo más sabroso. Voy pa' la rumba, la rumba, la rumba, la rumba, porque me llama, me llama, me llama, y necesito que suene el coro para que se ponga a vacilar, y te lo digo. Oye, ¿cómo va? Mi ritmo bueno pa' gozar. Mulata, oye, ¿cómo va? Mi ritmo bueno pa' gozar. Mulata, se pone caliente. Esto se
Yeah.
baila apretado. Cuatro pasitos
Thank
pa'l
you, everybody.
frente, pa'l frente, y un meneadito de lado. Porque la rumba, la rumba, la rumba, la rumba, tiene la clave, la clave, la clave, y hay que meterle candela al jarro para que suene así como va, y te lo digo. Oye, ¿cómo va? Mi ritmo bueno pa' gozar. Mulata, oye, ¿cómo va? ¿Cómo va? Mi ritmo bueno pa' gozar. Mulata.
right, thanks everybody for being here. We'll see you all next week. This has been Lunch Therapy with TJ Storm.